We're about to have a conversation that could change the way you look at time forever. Not next year, not next month, not even next week. Right now. Because here's the truth. Most people don't have a time management problem. They have a thinking problem about time. And that's exactly what the 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington is here to fix. This is not your typical productivity book that tells you to make a to-do list, buy a planner, and hope for the best. No, this is about reprogramming your brain to stop living in 12-month years and start living in 12-week years. Imagine if every week, every day, every single decision you made carried the urgency and clarity of a year-end deadline. No procrastination, no "I'll do it later." No wasted time drifting, just pure focused execution. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to achieve more in the next 12 weeks than most people do in 12 months. Create insane levels of clarity in your goals. Destroy procrastination by using urgency as your secret weapon. And finally, stop relying on motivation and build a system that forces results, whether you feel like it or not. And here's the best part. You don't need more time. You just need to use the time you already have differently. Why the traditional 12-month year fails most people. Let's be honest, the way most people set goals is broken. It's January. You set your New Year's resolutions. You're fired up. This is my year, you say. And for the first 2 weeks, maybe even the first month, you're on track. But then, life happens. Deadlines get pushed. Distractions sneak in. And you start telling yourself, it's okay, I still have time. That's the trap. When you operate in a 12-month year, you're given too much time to waste. The deadlines are so far away that there's no real urgency. Here's what usually happens. First quarter, you're just warming up. Middle of the year, you're comfortable, but not intense. Last quarter, panic mode. Suddenly you realize how much you didn't get done. And the cruel irony, most of your real progress happens in that final push when you have less time and more urgency. So why not live your whole year like that? Why not always be in that laser-focused, get-it-done mode? That's the genius of the 12-week year. The core idea, shrinking your year to 12 weeks. In a 12-week year, there's no next month to save you. You've got 84 days. That's it. Every day matters. Every week matters. Here's the magic. When you compress your year into 12 weeks, time feels different. You create urgency by design. You eliminate the false comfort of thinking you can make up for lost time later. And something incredible happens. You start executing with focus you didn't know you had. Think about it. If you only had 12 weeks to double your income, what would you stop doing? If you only had 12 weeks to lose 20 pounds, what would you start doing today? If you only had 12 weeks to launch your dream project, how would you prioritize every single day? That's the power of the 12-week year. It forces you to stop drifting and start delivering. Why this works? The psychology behind it. Your brain loves urgency. When a deadline is close, you get hyper-focused. Tasks that used to take you 3 hours suddenly take 45 minutes. You stop overthinking and start doing. This is called Parkinson's Law. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. If you give yourself a year to do something, it will take a year. If you give yourself 12 weeks, it will take 12 weeks. And this isn't just theory. It's how high-performing athletes, entrepreneurs, and elite professionals operate. They don't live by the calendar. They live by cycles of focused execution and fast feedback. Your first mindset shift. Stop thinking in years. Start thinking in 12-week sprints. Each year is a season of intense focus, followed by a short rest and then another season. When you operate like this, you set fewer goals but achieve more. Stay engaged because the finish line is always in sight. Build momentum instead of waiting for January 1st to start fresh. This is not about working harder. It's about working smarter, faster, and more deliberately, so you create results on demand, not by accident. We were talking about how most people let a 12-month year drag them into comfort, procrastination, and mediocre results. But here's the reality. The 12-week year doesn't just speed up your deadlines, it reshapes your mindset about time itself. Think about this. When the year is short, every week matters. You don't have the luxury to start fresh next month. You can't keep waiting for a perfect Monday. Your clock is already ticking faster, and suddenly your brain starts prioritizing with laser-like focus. That's exactly why Olympic athletes, top CEOs, and elite performers structure their lives into short, intense bursts of high performance instead of dragging goals across the whole year. They know that energy, focus, and urgency are like flames. They burn brightest when the time is short and the goal is clear. And here's the key insight. Shorter deadlines create higher quality execution. Why? Because Parkinson's law says, work expands to fill the time available for its completion. If you give yourself 12 months, you'll take 12 months. If you give yourself 12 weeks, you'll finish in 12 weeks, often with better results. Let's put this into a relatable example. Imagine two students. One has an entire semester to write an essay. The other has just 3 weeks. Who's more likely to plan better, work faster, and get it done? The second student, because their brain doesn't waste time overthinking. It switches into action mode. In the 12-week year system, the authors challenge you to plan, execute, and review your goals in a compressed 12-week cycle, and then start fresh with a brand new year 4 times annually. That means 4 chances a year to crush your goals instead of just 1. But here's the golden rule. You can't just shrink the year and keep the same bad habits. You need a structure. You need a system. And that's exactly what we're going to break down step by step. So you can take control of your time, focus your energy, and finally achieve results faster than you thought possible. Before we get into the exact framework, ask yourself, if my year ended 12 weeks from today, what would I focus on? What would I stop wasting time on? What would finally matter the most? Because that question is where your new life starts. We've talked about why the 12-week year works and how it flips the traditional planning model on its head. Now let's take a closer look at the mindset shift that makes this system truly life-changing for high achievers, and why most people fail to follow through on their goals in the first place. We're about to have a conversation that could completely change the way you look at time, productivity, and your own potential. When most people think about achieving a big goal, they start with the someday mindset. They say things like, someday I'll write my book. Someday I'll start my own business. Someday I'll get in shape. The problem with someday is that it has no deadline. There's no urgency, no pressure, and no reason to act now. The 12-week year crushes the someday trap by making every 12 weeks a year. So your deadline isn't next December, it's 90 days from now. Here's why that's powerful. Our brains respond differently when there's imminent pressure. Think about the last time you had a real deadline. Maybe a project at work or an exam in school. Chances are you became laser focused, cut out distractions, and got more done in a few days than you had in the previous weeks. That's the magic of compressed time frames. You're not just planning differently, you're thinking differently. Now let's get into why annual goals often fail. 1. Too much time breeds procrastination. If you give yourself a year to do something, you'll spend months just thinking about it instead of acting. It's the "I still have plenty of time" lie we tell ourselves. 2. Life changes midway. In 12 months, priorities shift, challenges pop up, and plans lose relevance. A shorter cycle keeps things adaptable. 3. No immediate feedback loop. In the annual model, you might not know you're off track until it's too late. With the 12-week year, you can spot problems in weeks, not months. Stop thinking in terms of yearly goals and start thinking in execution cycles. In other words, your year isn't January to December anymore. It's a series of 4 12-week sprints, each with its own vision, goals, and actions. Meet Alex, a 35-year-old entrepreneur. For years, he said he'd eventually launch an online course. Every January, he'd set it as a New Year's resolution. And every December, he'd realize he hadn't even recorded the first module. When Alex switched to the 12-week year system, something changed. He set a single goal, launched the course by week 12. Weeks 1 to 4, plan content and record 50% of the material. Weeks 5 to 8, record the rest and edit. Weeks 9 to 12, build sales page and launch. By the end of the cycle, the course was live and profitable. For the first time in years, Alex wasn't working on it. He had done it. Write down one single major outcome you want to achieve in the next 12 weeks. Not 10 goals, just one that will make the biggest impact in your life or business. Keep it in front of you every day. So far, we've been talking about the mindset shift required to start living your year in 12 weeks instead of 12 months. Now let's dig deeper into the mechanics, because a mindset without a system is like having a sports car with no steering wheel. It's powerful, but you're not going to end up where you want. The 12-week year operates on 3 foundational principles. 1, clarity through vision. 2, focus through planning. 3, execution through measurement and accountability. Let's break each of them down so you can actually live the system instead of just knowing about it. 1, clarity through vision. Most people set goals without really knowing where they're going. I want to be healthier. I want more money. I want to grow my business. That's not vision. That's vague daydreaming. In the 12-week year, vision means getting crystal clear about your ideal future. You're not just thinking, I want to earn more money. You're writing, I want to build a business that generates $150,000 per year, allows me to work 20 hours a week, and gives me the freedom to travel 3 months out of the year. See the difference? The clearer your vision, the easier it is to reverse engineer your next 12 weeks. Pro tip. In this system, you actually have 2 visions. Your long-term vision and your near-term vision. The near-term vision connects the big dream to the daily grind. 2, focus through planning. This is where most people overcomplicate things. Traditional annual planning is a beast. You spend days mapping out the year only for it to be irrelevant after 3 months. The 12-week year flips this on its head. Here's how it works. You pick 1, 2, 3 main goals for the next 12 weeks. For each goal, you define the critical actions, the few key behaviors that will actually move the needle. Then you schedule those actions into your week like non-negotiable appointments. Think about it like this. If you were a professional athlete, your practice sessions wouldn't be optional. They'd be the priority. In the same way, your 12-week year plan forces your most important actions to the top of your schedule. 3, execution through measurement and accountability. Let's be honest. The reason most goals die is not because people don't know what to do, but because they don't keep themselves honest about whether they're doing it. That's where scorekeeping comes in. In the 12-week year, you measure execution, not just results. For example, goal, lose 10 pounds. Execution metric. Did I work out 4 times this week? Did I eat under my calorie target 5 days this week? Why measure execution? Because results often lag behind actions. If you only measure outcomes, you might get discouraged too early. But if you measure execution, you see progress in real time. Accountability in this system doesn't mean a boss breathing down your neck. It means finding someone, a friend, a coach, a mastermind group who will hold you to your commitments. When you tell someone, here's what I'm doing this week, and they check back, you're far more likely to follow through. The magic of the 12-week year is that it forces you to face the truth. If you've been drifting, If you've been making excuses, if you've been telling yourself, I'll start next month, this system will feel uncomfortable at first. But that discomfort, that's the sound of growth. By now, you're probably wondering, y'all, okay, I get the principles, but how do I actually design my first 12-week year so I don't crash and burn? That's exactly where we're going next. We'll walk step by step through building your first plan so you can hit the ground running on day one. We've been talking a lot about execution and focus, but here's the thing. None of this matters if you don't track your progress. Think about it. Imagine you're on a road trip from New York to Los Angeles without GPS, without a map, without checking road signs. You might be moving, but are you moving in the right direction? That's why measurement is the heartbeat of the 12-week year. Brian Moran says it simply, if you're not keeping score, you're not playing the game seriously. The power of weekly measurement. In the 12-week year system, you measure your actions and results every week, not monthly, not quarterly, every single week. Why? Because in a 12-week plan, 1 week is over 8% of your entire year. Let that sink in. If you waste 1 week, you've lost almost a tenth of your year. Tracking weekly means you can course correct quickly. If you're falling short, you'll know in 7 days, not after 90. Here's where most people mess up. They measure only lag indicators, things like revenue, sales closed, weight lost. Those are results that show up after the actions are done. By the time you see them, it's too late to change. The 12-week year flips the focus to lead indicators, measurable actions you control right now. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds, the lag is the weight loss, but the lead is eating healthy meals, exercising 5 days a week, sleeping 7 hours. If your goal is to close 20 sales, the lag is revenue, but the lead is number of calls made, proposals sent, follow-ups done. Leads are the steering wheel of your results. The 85% rule. Moran's research shows something interesting. If you complete 85% or more of your planned weekly actions, you are almost guaranteed to hit your 12-week goal. Why not 100%? Because perfection is unrealistic and chasing it will burn you out. The sweet spot is consistent progress, getting the right action done most of the time. Here's the beauty. If you track your lead indicators and hit 85% weekly execution, the lag results take care of themselves. Accountability is the game changer. Tracking isn't just about you. It's about having someone else see the scoreboard. A coach, a business partner, a friend who won't sugarcoat the truth. The book introduces the concept of a WHAM, weekly accountability meeting. It's short, it's focused, and it's where you, 1, review last week's execution score. 2, celebrate wins. 3, identify roadblocks. 4, commit to next week's actions. When you know you'll be reporting your progress to someone else, your brain flips from I'll do it later to I need to get this done before the meeting. Let's be honest. People avoid measurement because they're afraid of the truth. If they don't track, they can keep the illusion of I'm working hard. But without numbers, you're just guessing. In reality, measurement doesn't judge you. It guides you. If you're behind, it's a wake-up call. If you're ahead, it's fuel to keep going. Now let's dive into something that could truly make or break your 12-week journey. The art of intentional planning. Here's the deal. Most people create plans that look like giant wish lists. They write down 25 things they hope to get done and end up completing maybe 3. Why? Because the human brain gets overwhelmed when there's too much on the plate. In the 12-week year system, your plan has to be lean, clear, and outcome-driven. That means focusing only on the critical actions that directly move you toward your 12-week goals. Nothing else makes the cut. Think of it like this. Imagine you're packing for a 3-day hiking trip. You wouldn't carry 15 outfits, right? You'd pack only what's necessary for survival and comfort. The same goes for your plan. If an action doesn't contribute to your end goal, it doesn't go in the plan. Here's how to build it the right way. 1. Define your 12-week goal in one clear sentence. No fluff, no kinda, sorta. Example, increase my monthly revenue from $5,000 to $8,000 end of 12 weeks. 2, identify your critical few actions. These are the top 3 to 5 weekly actions that will get you there. If your goal is to grow revenue, that might include making 20 sales calls per week, launching 2 targeted ad campaigns, and improving your follow-up system. 3, assign metrics. Every action must be measurable. Work on marketing is vague. Run 2 Facebook ads targeting X audience is specific. 4, schedule them in your calendar. Don't rely on "I'll get to it." If it's not scheduled, it's not real. Here's where most people mess up. They confuse activity with progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're moving forward. You can spend 8 hours designing a pretty logo for your business, but if your main goal is revenue, that logo isn't going to help you hit $8,000. And here's a mindset shift that the 12-week year drives home. Your weekly plan is your commitment contract. It's not a wish list or a good intention sheet. It's a binding agreement with yourself. And you're the CEO of your own life, so you better show up like one. At the start of each week, ask yourself, if I only completed these actions, would I still be on track to hit my goal? If the answer is no, you're not planning the right way. And remember, execution beats perfection. You could have the most beautiful, color-coded plan, but if you don't act on it every single week, it's useless. As Brian Moran puts it, a good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. So far, we've discussed how to define your vision, set crystal clear goals, and prioritize the highest impact actions. But here's the next critical piece: accountability. It's easy to set ambitious goals. It's harder to follow through when life gets messy, and it will get messy. That's why accountability is the invisible force that separates wishful thinking from actual achievement. Think about it. When you were in school, you probably did your homework because there was a teacher expecting it the next day. When there's a boss waiting for a report, you'll pull a late night to finish it. But when it comes to personal goals, there's no teacher, no boss, no deadline. So procrastination slips in quietly. That's why the 12-week year emphasizes creating accountability structures. Not the kind that punish you, but the kind that pull you forward. 1, accountability is not the same as consequences. Many people hear accountability and imagine blame, guilt, or punishment. But real accountability is simply about ownership. It's about saying, this is my goal. I own the results, good or bad. When you frame accountability as ownership rather than blame, it becomes empowering. It turns you from a passenger into the driver of your own success. 2, the role of a weekly accountability meeting. One of the most powerful tools in the 12-week year is the weekly accountability meeting, WEM. This is a short, focused check-in, 15 to 20 minutes max, where you review your commitments from the previous week and your plan for the next. This works best if you have a partner with similar ambition, a small mastermind group, or even a coach. Mentor. The meeting has only 3 parts. 1, review your score for last week's execution, not just results, but whether you did what you said you'd do. 2, identify what worked and what didn't. 3, commit to a specific plan for the upcoming week. Next 3, measuring execution, not just outcomes. One of the genius moves in the 12-week year is tracking execution rather than obsessing over results. Why? Because results lag behind actions. For example, if you want to lose weight, you can't control the scale directly. You control your meals and workouts. If you want to grow your business, you can't control how many sales you get this week, but you can control how many calls you make or how many proposals you send. By tracking execution, you focus on what's in your control. And when you execute consistently, results eventually follow. 4, the scorecard system. To measure execution, the 12-week year uses a simple scorecard. List your key weekly actions from your tactical plan. Track whether you did them or not. Calculate your execution percentage, the magic number, Aim for at least 85% execution every week. That's the threshold where results start showing up reliably. Less than that, and you're leaving too much on the table. 5. Self-accountability versus external accountability. You don't always need another person to hold you accountable. In fact, the most successful people are masters of self-accountability. You can do this by writing a daily self-check. What's the one thing I need to do before today ends? Ending your day with a quick journal entry. What did I execute well? What will I improve tomorrow? Setting visible reminders, sticky notes, phone alarms, a whiteboard tracker in your workspace. Still, external accountability is a powerful amplifier. It's harder to make excuses when you have to look someone in the eye and explain why you didn't follow through. 6. Turning accountability into a habit. At first, accountability might feel forced, like a chore, but over time, it becomes part of your rhythm. When you consistently check in on your actions, you build trust in yourself, shorten the gap between intention and action, catch mistakes before they snowball. The result? You stop being someone who plans to do things and become someone who gets things done. Now let's talk about one of the most underestimated but most powerful tools in the 12-week year system, the weekly review. You see, most people plan, act for a few days, then drift. Why? Because they don't stop to check if they're actually on track. They keep running, but in the wrong direction. It's like driving a car toward a destination without ever looking at the map. You might be speeding, but you could be heading miles away from where you want to be. The weekly review fixes that. It's your moment to stop, step back, and ask, am I doing what I said I would do? Am I making progress on the key actions that actually matter? What needs to change next week? Here's how it works. Every week, ideally at the same day and time, you set aside 20 to 30 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just you, your plan, and your performance data. You're going to score your execution for the week, not your results, but your execution. Why? Because results lag. You can't always control the outcome in a single week, but you can control whether you completed the key actions. In the 12-week year, execution is measured as a percentage. For example, if you had 10 planned actions for the week and you completed 8, your execution score is 80%. Aim for 85% or higher. That's the sweet spot where results start to multiply. Now, some people resist tracking like this. They feel it's too rigid or too much work. But think about it. Professional athletes review their performance constantly. Businesses track metrics daily. Pilots check their instruments every minute. If you want to perform at a high level, feedback isn't optional. It's mandatory. And here's the magic. Weekly reviews don't just keep you accountable. They keep you motivated. Because when you see that you're hitting 90% execution, you feel confident. You know success is inevitable if you keep going. And when you see you're only at 50%, you get the wake-up call you need to course correct before it's too late. Now, after scoring your week, ask yourself, what went well? Celebrate it. What didn't go well? Identify the cause. What will I do differently next week? Commit to it. This is how you stay in a constant loop of action, feedback, adjustment, improved action. That's how you move faster than people who plan for 12 months and then panic in December. Remember, the weekly review isn't about judgment. It's about growth. The scoreboard isn't there to shame you. It's there to guide you. And here's a pro tip. Don't skip this step even if you're too busy. The moment you feel too busy to review your week is the exact moment you're most at risk of drifting off course. In the next part, we're going to dive into the concept of accountability, but not the way you've heard it before. We're going to destroy the myth that accountability means someone else is responsible for your success, and show you how to take ownership in a way that makes your goals almost unstoppable. Now, as we move toward the closing chapters of Napoleon Hill's philosophy, There's one point that needs to be emphasized above all else. Persistence is the glue that holds your burning desire and your definite plan together until success arrives. Let's get real here. Ideas are cheap. Almost anyone can get inspired after reading a great book, attending a seminar, or watching a motivational video. But the truth? Most people quit when the first obstacle shows up. Hill makes it clear. The ability to keep going when everything inside you screams stop is what separates those who almost make it from those who actually do. Think of Thomas Edison's again. He didn't stop after 1,000 failed attempts to create the light bulb. Why? Because he didn't see them as failures. Each attempt was just one more step closer to the goal. You have to develop that exact mentality. Now, here's a practical step to hardwire persistence into your daily life. Every time you feel like quitting, stop and remember your why. Write it down. Keep it in your wallet, your phone, or somewhere you'll see it daily. When motivation fades, and it will, your why will be the fuel that keeps the engine running. Hill also warns us about the enemies of persistence. Things like procrastination, lack of interest in your goal, weak desire, and even letting other people's opinions hold you back. Here's a harsh truth. If you're letting someone else's doubt or criticism control your actions, then you're giving them the driver's seat of your life. And you'll never reach your destination if you're not the one steering. That's why Hill suggests surrounding yourself with people who believe in your vision, or at least people who won't drag you down. This circles back to the mastermind principle we discussed earlier. And let's not forget, persistence isn't just about business or money. It applies to every health, relationships, learning new skills, breaking bad habits. The formula stays the same. 1, desire. 2, definite plan. 3, action. 4, persistence until success is achieved. Many people have desire, many even have plans. But persistence, that's the rare ingredient. And it's the reason why the small percentage of people who have it end up living extraordinary lives. So, here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, do not skip a single step toward your goal, no matter how small. Even if life throws curveballs, find a way to show up every single day. Because at the end of the day, your persistence will make the difference between it could have been and I made it happen. Now that we've explored how time is both a finite and precious resource, it's time to tie everything together into a powerful, life-changing perspective. Throughout history, countless thinkers, leaders, and innovators have emphasized the same truth. How you spend your hours determines the story of your life. Time is the most democratic resource in existence. Whether you are a billionaire or a college student, you have exactly 24 hours in a day. No more, no less. The difference between someone who lives a life of meaning and someone who feels stuck often boils down to how intentionally they use that time. When you truly internalize this, procrastination starts to feel different. Wasting a day doesn't just mean you lost some time. It means you traded away a non-renewable piece of your existence for something of little or no value. That's a trade you could never undo. But here's the encouraging part. Every moment going forward is a fresh opportunity to make a better trade. You can choose to stop investing in distractions and start investing in your dreams, relationships, health, and self-growth. You can decide that your time is worth guarding like a treasure, because it is. This is why so many high performers, from elite athletes to visionary entrepreneurs, structure their days with purpose. They don't just find time for what matters, they make time for it. They understand Parkinson's law, that work expands to fill the time allotted. So they set boundaries and deadlines to force focus. As you've learned in this journey, it's not about cramming as many tasks as possible into your day. It's about identifying the things that actually move your life forward and dedicating your best hours to them. It's about letting go of the myth of "I'll do it later" and realizing that later is not guaranteed. Think of your life as a book you are writing in real time. Every day is a page. Some pages will be exciting, some routine, some challenging, but all of them matter to the final story. The question is, when someone reads that story one day, will it be worth telling? As we wrap up, remember this: time management is not just a productivity tool. It's a life philosophy. It's about aligning your minutes with your values, your actions with your purpose, and your days with the future you want to create. So starting today, make the conscious decision to be the author of your own time. Protect it, prioritize it, and spend it in ways that will make your future self proud. Your clock is ticking. Make it count.